Hey everybody, I'm Marco Meatball, and this is Game8 Connect.
My name is Marco Meatball. I am an opera singer, voice actor, and accidental YouTuber. I love talking about and analyzing video game music from an emotional perspective. I was an opera singer for a decade. I decided to retire from the stage when I was 30 because I had a lot of anxiety and stress, and the classical music scene was not unkind, but it wasn't kind. I decided to pivot to voiceover in 2019, right before the pandemic. And then my dad passed away in 2021, and I decided as a way to express that grief, I realized that there was no community around video game music, and I sort of decided accidentally to build it. I filmed like 3 videos. I was like, okay, cool, this is not going anywhere. I'm just gonna, with a lot of work on my iPhone, and I went to go pick my dog up, Luna, and I started getting these notifications, and I'm like, I must have commented on like some stupid meme video or something. Next thing I know, I realized it was my channel, and so I just doubled down, and that was what I did, morning, noon, and night. And here we are, a year and a half later, 224,000 subscribers. Right now, there's about 3 things on the channel that I like to do. Obviously, the reaction channels. I also do like video essays. There was a period of time where I was doing musical Let's Plays, and I have done like music-focused playthroughs talking about and highlighting the music. Right now, there's this non-gamer react series where I'm bringing people from the opera industry that I know, and we're talking about video game music, and I'm exposing them to video game music. But in terms of reaction content, I don't sit here and pre-plan anything. I listen to the music, I stop and start as I go, and I just let the music speak. I don't want to say through me because I'm not a vessel for the music like I was when I was an opera singer where I was singing the composer's intentions, but I just let like my mind's eye and my feelings about things kind of speak through. Because I have a decade of experience, when a violin is cascading down, I can sort of infer what that particular meaning is. For me, it's really about feeling. And so that's really what I latch onto in reaction videos. Like, how do I express myself so that others can also express it? Because sometimes a lot of people have a hard time expressing their emotions through music. And so if I can help them and be like, I guess, a lighthouse for them, that's like the key thing I look for when I'm talking about music. I was born in the United States, then we moved to Italy when I was 4. I didn't have any like gaming. I didn't even know what gaming systems were. When we moved back, and my grandparents, literally the day that we arrived, handed me a Super Nintendo, and I didn't speak a word of English at the time. I only spoke Italian. But we were all gathered, my second cousins, and like it was a big family, like 30-person Italian party. And I just sat there, and I remember it clear as day, just seeing Mario just walking across the screen and Yoshi, and like how the music changed. It was an incredible moment when like you're playing the first mission, and then you hop onto Yoshi and it has the drums. Like that was a moment. And also just the fact that I didn't speak any English, and yet I was still able to connect with my cousins on an emotional level because they had already played this before because they had a Super Nintendo and stuff. So that was one moment. Even though I'm not the biggest fan of Final Fantasy VII, One Winged Angel and Bizarro Sephiroth, those fights, and like Knights of the Round Table, and like I remember Save for Sephiroth, when that came on, One Winged Angel really like, I don't know, it blew my mind open. And I remember I was so nervous to fight Sephiroth. I'd already used Knights of the Round Table with Bizarro Sephiroth, the insta kill. And I remember my mom telling me to turn off the game because we had to go do something. And I was like, Mom, you don't understand. Like, this is a huge moment. Like, this is the end of the game. I don't think I'd ever really beaten a game before. After playing that, I used to listen to a CD of this guy, Diagoro something, and he had all these like piano versions of the tunes. I listened to it day and night. So Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, and 10 were really like the cornerstones of my favorite soundtracks as a kid. And even though like Super Mario was the first game that thrust me into the gaming world, and that became like a lifelong obsession. It's long-winded, but Final Fantasy. What it comes down to, I think, is melody. Melody is the thing that allows music to sink its teeth into us. I think, battle themes are great, rhythm is great, bombastic themes are great, but what really gets to people, I think of a piece like Chrono Cross, like Scars of Time. That is a melody. Or Elden Beast, or the Elden Ring main theme. yes, there's rhythmic intensity in pieces, but melody is the thing that drives us forward. Melody tells a story. Melody makes us feel emotion. Melody is what guides it. And I think that melody is really the predominant. Also, from a singing perspective, of course, I'm going to say melody because that's what I used to do. I was saying melodies. Like a singable line that also is expressive of XYZ emotion is always going to be the thing I think that sticks with people and causes that earworm thing where then you're humming it before you go to bed or you're thinking about it. Because there's plenty of ambient music that's beautiful and powerful and stuff, but you're going to forget it. Things that are less memorable are going to probably not be melodic. A lot of people require context in order to feel the full effect, because if you think about it, there's a reason why it's called video game music. It is intangibly connected to the gaming experience. However, my goal ultimately would be to say, okay, well, let's pull out these tracks and let's pair them next to Mozart, Beethoven, Mendelssohn, Handel, and let's put them in the same concert. And let's say these pieces stand on their own and don't require the context in order to appreciate them as symphonic works. Number 5 is the Warhammer 40,000 Mechanicus soundtrack by Guillaume David. It's staggering. It's profoundly unique and it embraces its full self. It's fantastically composed. It's diverse, modern, yet inherently classical, which I'm always going to be drawn to more than, say, like Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance. There's nothing wrong with that music was composed beautifully. It's a very specific style, but like Mechanics for me is so explorative within the confines of what makes a piece melodic and tonal. And Children of the Omnissiah is the piece that I would say of all the pieces that has impressed me the most. Children of the Omnissiah is just a slow organ plod, right? It's just fantastic how we're utilizing the organ, a traditionally church instrument, in a setting that it's still religious, but it's like malevolent. And there's a slow, plain song, simple song, and it's just like hollow, and it makes you feel the music in your bones. I mean, it's fantastic. So a lot of the Warhammer series has phenomenal music. So it's tricky. This is twofold, but it's the same series, so I'm going to count it as one. Ace Combat. I got it, and I was like, this is going to be terrible. It's going to be electronic, kind of lame. I listened to Zero from Ace Combat Zero, and I nearly crapped myself. Maybe don't put that in the video. I was blown away. It infuses this 80s, 90s rock aesthetic, Steely Dan, ZZ Top, Doobie Brothers, with this Latin chorus and orchestration. When I listened to Unsung War from Ace Combat 5, which is this essentially it's a religious experience. Ace Combat 5 and Ace Combat 7 are interchangeable for me for number 4 because 7 is so unique. It has the Daredevil motive, which is so fantastically heroic and empowering. You look at Archange and Alicorn Trio, any of these things that are basically modern day oratorio pieces. They're written specifically for religious experiences, talking about the birth and life of Jesus Christ or whatever. To have Latin in a modern day video game where the stakes are incredibly high and musically it's being driven by the whole chorus of Latin singing, I can't even describe to you how cool it is. So it's a toss up between Ace Combat 5 and Ace Combat 7, but Archange, Magic Spear, Daredevil, Alicorn Trios, a set of 3 songs that connect to each other. Then you also have Ace Combat 5, which reuses the fantastic Unsung War melody, Closer, 15 years ago. There's so many. It's such a fantastic game series, and the music is just chef's kiss. It's so good. Final Fantasy XIV. The sheer volume of music is, it's an MMO, so that makes sense. But there's just such a fantastic diversity of music in this. There's classical piano, there's ambient music, there's sung music, there's opening trailers that are fantastically powerful. There is, key moments. There's main themes that repeat over and over again. There's In the Balance, which is one of the best tracks ever. There's just so many fantastic battle themes that, again, lean on melody. And in a lot of ways, Soken is the natural evolution or the natural protege of Uematsu, and that really comes through in Final Fantasy XIV. And it's also it also pays homage to everything that has come before. For just casual listening, if you're in a somber mood, definitely Flow. If you're in a happy mood, In the Balance. If you're in a really happy mood, Long Fall, The Twinning. Those are like some of my favorite tracks, but there's such a wide variety. Like, you know, if you're feeling like you want to go to the gym, there's a Finality, which I believe is one of the dungeon themes in Endwalker, which is very good. And then Torn from the Heavens is one of the classics. It's like the Final Fantasy 14 song. Maker's Ruin is another. Yes, I know. I don't have one. So I'm not like obsessed with this game or anything like that, but Nier Automata has a fantastic soundtrack. And I think Yoko Taro is such an interesting and eclectic game designer and developer director. But the fact that Emmy Evans with Keiichi Okabe created this chaos language that is based around multiple different languages kind of mixed together. It's like its own language that has no lyrics or anything like that. City Ruins, I had it on my PS4 background dynamic theme for a really long time, and I used to it's so chill and it's so wonderfully relaxing, yet has a really nice forward momentum in the rhythm when it kicks in. And I always used to sing along and try to understand what they were saying, because I didn't realize that there was a chaos language. I thought I just wasn't understanding it for whatever reason. It's just so dynamic. And it was also the first game experience I ever had where I had to play more than once in order to understand the full story, which I found really intriguing at the time. And I think I was listening to a beautiful song, which ironically happens when you're fighting a robotic opera singer. I just was really stunned by it, because it's just like so unique and musically violent, but like also incredibly melodic, and the circumstances around it are so interesting. Like the fight really feels like high stakes. Anything can be like that, but for whatever reason, this particular moment in the game, I was just like, I think I'm playing something really unique here, and I just locked in. So I would say Nier Automata for sure would be number 2. It's just so unique and so special. From a classical music perspective, it has to be Genshin Impact. And it's an interesting thing because there is a lot of controversy and mixed feelings about gacha systems at large and what they represent. The music in Genshin Impact is so well thought out. I had a person comment like, I can't get behind gacha games because they compose the music to try to get you to spend money to gamble for characters. And I couldn't help but smile, because I was like, that is just not true. And composers are emotional people, they're creatives, and so they're not sitting there like, I need to write music that will inevitably want them to pull. No, that's not how it works. I mean, maybe in some deep dark basement somewhere, probably, but not. Genshin is not the biggest fan of the story. It's fine for me, just where I am in my life. Like, I've been in Genshin Impact. I played a character called Dvorak, who is actually the Czech composer. And I think what strikes me about Genshin music is that each region, Mondstadt, Liyue, Inazuma, Sumeru, now Fontaine, it's fantastic. It's diverse. It's the perfect evolution of what I perceive classical music to be and sound like, and it flips it on its head. It does fascinating things with folk instruments. It's educational. It's cultural. It doesn't shy away. They are the first video game I've ever heard to include Chinese opera in it, The Divine Damsel of Devastation. No one's doing that. And to me, I just think it's one of the best soundtracks that's out there, hands down. There's not a single piece of ambient music there where I'm like, well, this is boring. Not a single piece. The other reason why I'm really behind Genshin is that I've literally played it for every single one of my classical music colleagues that have come on the channel, and every single one of them has liked it. Every single one has loved how spirited the pieces are. And I think that to me is even more validation that these pieces in this game, regardless of how people feel about the game, it is a well thought out, really, really like time intensively put into it experience. And yeah, it's phenomenal. Now, to say I don't love the game, I don't love the story, I don't think they take enough risks, I don't want to just sit here and praise it, because there are plenty of things I dislike about it, but musically I think it's phenomenal. Yeah, I mean, just keep listening to music and allow it to wash over you, whether you know the context of a piece or not. Challenge yourself to listen to something you've never heard before. Challenge yourself to understand why you like or dislike a piece. So if you say, oh, I like this because, or I don't like this because of this, that is perfect. That is the right way to have strong opinions. It's something I learned from my teacher in a recent video, and I plan on using that in my own videos. My YouTube channel is Marco Meatball, and Marco Meatball VODs has longer stuff, but don't worry about that. You can find me on Twitter, Marco D Meatball. I love video game music. If you're a video game music person, explore those things within the context of music and out of context of the music. Feel free to check that out, and I'd love to have you in the community.
I really hope you enjoyed that conversation. I know I did. I'm Marco Meatball again, and that was Game8 Connect. Thank you.